On the baseline in the painted area. Oh, what a steal.
John Wall. Oh, he still got his bounce.
I thought I really wanted to see what Wall was going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Just to get him back in the mix and just to get him back on the court in that Wizards uniform. And so there's a little piece of me that's kind of like sad to see him go.
Look at that attack. He throws it right down with that left hand, elevates. He is pumped up early in the...
It's still shocking to me because I feel like John Wall belonged to the Wizards, no? Like, to me, he was one of those guys to where they drafted him. I feel like he's been 10 toes down in the city, always doing stuff, repping D.C., and to me, it just didn't really make sense. You know what I mean? And I'm a Westbrook fan, and it didn't make sense.
I'm a big Wall fan. I absolutely enjoy watching him play. And, you know, what he did for the community stands on its own. You know, just the giving back and just being there. I went to one of his back-to-school drives down at Berry Farms at the rec center down there. And it was a party. He had the music going, he had a DJ going, but it felt like home. It felt like home. He was at ease. His mom was still alive at that particular time, and she was there. And it was just a festive occasion. And he related this story like, you know, I remember when my mom didn't have enough so I could go have all the supplies I needed to go back to school. He gave them everything. Them shorties was set. They had everything they needed for school.
One thing that is something that I was never able to feel until I moved here, right? I'm from Alabama, a town where there's no professional sports team. So when I actually came to a town that has a professional sports team, I now understand that attachment that fans have towards players because it goes deeper than just in between those lines. You brought up a great story, right? Like he's at a back-to-school drive giving these kids a bunch of clothes, getting them set. When you see that for your own eyes, that level of attachment grows exponentially, right? So now you start to root for not John Wall, the basketball player, John Wall, the human being.
Again, Gortat inside, score the field goal. He'll go to the line on a brilliant no-look pass from Wall.
And we get John Wall back. Let's see what John Wall looks like. It's not the greatest roster, but, you know, we'll make do with what we got. And then all of a sudden, boom, Wall's traded to Houston for Russell Westbrook.
Now they're back this time. They're set. Oh, Russell Westbrook!
Mm-hmm. Are they that much better with Russell Westbrook than they are without John Wall?
I think that you get more of a security blanket with Russell Westbrook as opposed to John Wall. Because, again, with John Wall, we just have no idea what he's going to be when he gets back. He hasn't played since 2018. But the contract he's getting paid is worth somebody who you would think that he'd been playing for the past couple of years at an elite level, right? And with Westbrook, you know, Westbrook's funny, Colvin, because he gets a lot of hate, and sometimes it's warranted, sometimes it's unnecessary. But when you look back at what he did last year, he averaged 27, 8, and 7, made All-NBA third team, and he shot, I want to say it was his best field goal percentage since his MVP season. But people would have you think that Russell Westbrook's like this borderline 20-point-per-game scorer who's just a complete inefficient mess. And I get it. Sometimes he can be inefficient. But one thing he can also do is bring energy, passion, hustle, and grit to a team, right, which is something that, you know, Washington could benefit from.
What do we talk about for the draft? The guys that we liked at number 9, I said, hey, they should find somebody that got a little edge to them. Somebody's going to give them a little something they don't have, something that's a dog. Well, guess what? They got a pit bull / Rottweiler / German Shepherd / Dino Mutt in Westbrook, okay? Because he's going to bring the wood every night.
On to Beal, 5 seconds. Beal, crossover, in the paint, step back for the win. Got it! 5/10 of a second remaining.
What does this all mean for Brad? Because Brad, by having the year that he had last year, elevated himself within the franchise if that was possible.
Yeah.
Because the franchise looked at what Brad did and said, man, that's our thoroughbred right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe we should think about moving Wall because Beal is that dude. And particularly when we say, Zay, when we said, you know, what makes Beal better is Wall.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that they complemented each other. Well, somebody downtown didn't see it that way.
Absolutely.
Quite a few people said, well, you know what? We got Brad. We can stick Russ in there, and we can do better.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, just give me your whole take on just Brad and what this is going to mean for him. Because guess what? It is the most important part of the equation.
Players compliment playing with Russell Westbrook. They love the fire and the passion that he brings to a basketball team. I think Bradley Beal's definitely going to benefit that, because Colvin, also remember this is the same Bradley Beal that averaged 30 points, that didn't make the All-Star team and didn't make an All-NBA team. So he now has something to prove with the guy who wears the ultimate chip on both shoulders in Russell Westbrook. I think those two are going to pair just fine together, because they're going to bring out the dog in one another, and you don't have to do much to bring out that dog in number 0 already as it is. So when it comes to Bradley Beal, he solidified himself as, you could say, the best shooting guard in the East. If not, he's probably top 1 or 2. And overall, he's probably a top 4 or 5 shooting guard in this NBA. So I don't think he's going to have a huge drop-off. I think, if anything, he's going to get a lot better. I think him and Westbrook are definitely going to work off of one another, because, again, man, we said that Westbrook and Wall are very similar, almost identical, right? Westbrook's better, of course, but very identical players. So if you mean to tell me that we're going to get a guy who his skill set complements the previous guy, but he's better, yeah, Bradley Beal is going to be just fine. Let's just hope and pray that whatever Wizards curse has been going on does not affect these two.
And my whole thing is, I'll take the wait and see. We'll see how it goes. Because here's the thing, Zach. The base bottom line is this. You do this deal, you're telling me, one, the team is going to be better without Wall. We'll see. But the second part to this is, you're telling me that you expect to make the playoffs.
Yes.
So this isn't the rebuild. This isn't the rebuild that Tommy Shepard was talking about when Ted Leonsis marched out everybody and said, hey, we're going to do this, 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 and this. It's not that.
Mm-hmm.
Your expectation now is you're going to make the playoffs. And I found it very interesting today. All the talking heads were like, well, they should make. No, it's no they should. It's not a pause. It has to be yes. This is a playoff team. This isn't, oh, maybe they'll make 8, maybe they'll make 6. The expectation now is you make the playoffs. You have a guy who's a former MVP. He's a walking triple-double, has playoff experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So now, this raises the bar.
Previous to the trade, when I'm looking at what the Wizards did and what they drafted and getting John Wall back, I assumed they would be fighting for a 7th or 8th spot. Now that they have Russ, I'm kind of looking at that maybe 5 to 8 range, right?
5?
Again, 5 to 8. Here's the thing, Colvin. Here's the thing. The East is really good.
Absolutely.
People obviously for years, decades have been saying the Eastern Conference. But when you look at Milwaukee, I think they got a little bit worse, but they're not going anywhere. Miami is still Miami. They're tough. Toronto is solidified. Boston, Philadelphia, Indiana may have gotten a little bit worse, and Brooklyn.
Now come on with it then. So adding Russell Westbrook to Bradley Beal, fill in the blank. So now somebody said today, without a doubt, this is the best backcourt in the East Conference.
Why not in the whole league?
One of the best in the whole league, but definitely the best in the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely.
So the best backcourt in the Eastern Conference only gets you to 5?
But see, here's the thing, though. I understand both sides of it, because with the best backcourt in the NBA, you should definitely be a playoff team. However, and this is with all due respect, when you start to look at numbers 3 through 12 on the rest of the roster, you kind of wince a little bit. You're like, wow, this is what we're working with here. And that's tough, because think about teams that are loaded. You think about other teams' third options, some of those other teams that I named, their third options on that team would easily be our best third option on this team, right? Our third option on some of those other teams may not even be the 5th or 6th option. You understand? It's a huge drop-off.
But you got to have a third option. If this is going to work, somebody has to step up.